commentary on the Theology, which has already been placed on YouTube. In explaining my theology of ethics and polity, I say that since all are one in God, ethics is a mystical union seen from a practical aspect. Now, since all is one in love, which is God, it is an obligation of the mystical and proto-mystical mind to love others. Therefore, love is a duty. This means we ought to fulfill our duties lovingly. They are a practical, mystical bond. It is stated by Kant and others that the feeling of love cannot be commanded, so that it cannot be a duty to love. Kant suggests practical love instead, which is comprised by the actions moral love would produce if you felt it. Hence, I use the term mystical and proto-mystical mind, meaning the mystic and those who aspire to the mystical agape. Now, admittedly, my deduction that God is the chief executive of a divine polity has not been declared before. The deduction surprises even me. That a powerful being could prefer a republic of rational beings to a monarchy where he is the ruler is exemplified in human history by George Washington, who was offered the kingship of the United States and refused it in favor of the presidency. I have stated that since God transcends nature, he can perform miracles. I do not have to admit that God violates the laws of nature. First of all, nature is not a fully predetermined system, since we must have free will. But the wills of God and his co-citizens in the cosmic polity are no more mysterious than our free will. He and his cohorts not only transcend nature, but are immanent within it, as are humans, though differences remain. Thus, what we call chance or accident, for which we could not have provided a sufficient reason before the event, may well have been due to a psychic or spiritual agent. But in a non-deterministic universe, I also admit accident or chance. An example is as follows. Two persons are in their cars in different areas where there might be two different accidents. To avoid an accident, each applies the brake. One collides, the other stops and avoids the collision. By hindsight, it is determined that one's brakes are not working at maximum effectiveness and that the others were. The second thinks his escape was providential. The first thinks he had bad luck. Both might be right. To the atheist, to ascribe the avoidance of the accident to providence is gross superstition. To the psychic, it makes perfect sense, for he would have been helped by an angel. At present, people can move physical objects by willing it. This is well known now in relation to the cursor on a laptop. But the causal effect of mind in regard to body and inanimate objects has been otherwise well known, though denied by materialists. Certainly, the physical events also affect our mind. Indeed, according to the developing science of eco-psychology, cf. Dr. Gregory Bateson, Steps in the Ecology of Mind, 1972, the state of the environment affects the mind, which affects the body accordingly. The polarities of this interaction provide a basis for dualism. One new and interesting argument for dualism has been given by some psychiatrists at the Menninger Institute. They argue that the environment is known by mind. For example, when we view our location from a mountain and see a river, this information is gained mentally and and not through direct neurological connections. Even though it is an optical input, it is interpreted by mind before it affects the remainder of the neurological system. This mental activity is essential to evolution. In fact, the mental events and our actions resulting from this perception are mental events. Also affect our DNA in regard to what part is activated and to what degree. So some psychiatrists at the Institute are reviving dualism, though I have downloaded one of their papers. I have misplaced it. To be sure, the psychiatrists at the Institute do not mean to establish the existence of God or other psychical matters in their highly specialized report. But it should be noted that parapsychology has been accepted by the American Psychological Association as a genuine science and not a pseudoscience, as diehards will nonetheless maintain. It may also be noted that mind changing the structure of the brain through transcendental meditation has now been confirmed through brain scans. In addition, Heidelberg's intermediacy theory, which states that the actions of subatomic particles are investigated statistically rather than causally, shows that freedom of the will cannot be proven or disproven. Hence, the assertion that experimental science will one day disprove the freedom of the will is an anachronistic fallacy, applying 19th century science to 20th. In later centuries, however, freedom may be affirmed because it is morally necessary. Humans, declared Kant, are the only creatures on earth who can act according to the conception of law. This is essential for our freedom of the will, which is action according to the conception of the moral law. The existence of the soul, in addition to mind, is indicated by out-of-the-body experiences, Dr. Raymond Moody's Life After Life, Reincarnation Memories, Dr. Ian Stevenson's Scientifically Observed Records of Reincarnation, published in a number of books by the University of Virginia Press, William James' Case of Lawrence C. Venom, Principles of Psychology, pages 256 and 7, Great Books edition, and Dr. Michael Sabaum's account of perception of out of the body, the recollections of death, a medical investigation, 1970-82. I also had the personal experience of a precognition and psychic communication at a distance. The best publicly recorded case of precognition is Mark Twain's dream foreseeing his brother's funeral, and then his experience of it. The facts and theories indicated here belong to what I will call the second paradigm. Criticism consists of offering alternative explanations of the phenomena evoked by the alternative theory, or the simple denial of what is claimed to be fact. The average person committed to one side or the other usually knows little of what he or she denies. My reasons for believing in the psychic experience is a topic in itself. Since this is a personal account, I may add that my revered teacher, Dr. Ludwig Edelstein, who had prolonged difficulties in surviving the Holocaust, told me that there are angels. He gave the name of a journal article by a philosopher as a reference, but I do not remember the author's name and cannot find it. Kant formulates a categorical imperative to include extraterrestrial or transcendental rational beings such as angels, rather than just to humankind.